I'm Jeremiah Boucher, a commercial real estate investor with over 20 years experience. This show is designed to help you build your business, become a better real estate investor, and help you see opportunities that will keep you ahead of the competition. This is Finding Your Edge.
Yo, we are back. Finding Your Edge. Find it. I think we're going to find it today, Jeremiah. I think we are going to find it today.
Let's go.
First of all, you're in another place. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Week 2, 2023.
2023. And that's what we were just talking about off camera is, hey, what do we want to talk about? What's this goal of the show today? And it really is, again, from last time we were talking about starting off our year, right? And making sure that we have a solid plan, but we have to talk about what that plan is. And for both of us, it's very similar, whether you're brand new to the business or you're a large corporation, it really needs to be number one. First thing is, how are we acquiring? What are we doing to acquire new business? What are we doing to acquire new properties? And at the same time, right underneath it, hard underneath it is, what do we have right now and how are we strategizing it to maximize profitability and making sure that it is organized and being taken care of? So first thing is my favorite thing. I know it's your favorite thing too. They're all your favorite, but this one is close to my heart because this is what we're on right now as a new business in this industry, and that's acquiring and lead generation. What are your thoughts on those two things?
Oh, well, I mean, we've been talking, quite a bit. So we're in the second week of the year, and I've noticed you've got some deal flow. So you're cranking up the prospecting, and that's where the business is built. So I want to hear your thoughts and ideas around, you're getting a lot of contacts and relationships out there with storage owners. So, what are you seeing and what have you done to really start to amp up your business?
Yeah. And you said it actually before, whether it was on the show or off camera, about how critical the data is. It's really where you're going to find the deals is through the data. So what are we looking for, right, guys? What is a deal? We always talk about what a deal is. Well, a deal is really, there's some sort of motivation in that seller, right? And that may be, in our case, what I'm targeting, and I know what Jeremiah looks at his team, is age. Are these owners looking to retire? That's a real simple one. Don't let that one fall out, because the age is a really good one. I was having conversations with a gentleman who hasn't even seen his facility in 20 plus years. He's across, and again, he's not a big corporation where it's like, that's kind of a normal thing. It's a mom and pop show. So he's just got somebody he trusts on the ground floor that's been there for, 15 plus years, that rents a house on the property. So it's just, he's got this little system. It's been working, makes a lot of money, doing very well. But at this point, he's totally done, and he just wants to, he wants to get rid of it. But he also wants to do it in a strategic way. These aren't your people who are, normally, like in the residential world, they're like, I need to just sell this thing tomorrow, right? For cash. Give me some cash. Not normally like that. Now you can find those, but those are very tough to find. This is more of a, hey, how can I have a win-win with this person, right? And that's how you should really approach everything, is really, how is this person, what's going to be a win for this individual? So that's where I always come in my mindset with acquisition and lead generation is win-win. As soon as you mention win-win with somebody on the phone, they're going to be like, yeah, that's what I want. I want a win-win. Absolutely. Right. So what are we doing? So we are, number one, like we just talked about, the data, finding the good data. And there's a number of places to do that. Reonomy, CoStar. You could even do that through, going on county websites and finding through like Logitech, all these different county sites that you can find self-storage facilities or mobile home parks or multifamily properties, where you can really dial in and say, okay, when did this person, buy this property? So then you can kind of do some math. All right, they've owned it for 20, 30 plus years. You can imagine that is a, quote unquote, tired landlord. Okay. That's what we want to find. And from that point, we then do a number of different things. Once we get the data, and we still have people calling it, right? So I'm calling it. I'm having my team of virtual assistants and sales team. And again, for people listening, if you think you can just take this data and give it to a sales team or a cold caller and see that there's going to be an impact, it's not going to happen. You yourself need to be familiar with calling and having a strategy for that call and how you approach that individual, because you're going to be setting up your sales team and setting up these virtual assistants for failure. And that's not what you want to do. You better be doing it yourself first, okay? Or at least be an understanding of what that entails. Not easy. Second thing is, that doesn't always produce fast results. That's more of a longer term play to get warm leads in. That's not that you're not getting deals right there, but you're going to start to approach people where they go, sure, I might be open to it. Everything's for sale for the right number, right? You're going to hear that constantly in this industry. Okay, great. But at least I know that, number one, you're the owner. That's great to know, right? You don't want to waste time not knowing if that's the actual owner. The second thing is making sure that, is this in an area that we'd like? Great. Once it is, we can really start dialing it in. And then we can ask them, in about how many years you think you might sell? It might be in a couple. It might be, it might be sooner than I think. Okay, great. Okay. And now we are starting to build up some heat on how this lead is. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start nurturing that lead. So here's where you become someone who is just a fly-by-night individual in this industry, or someone who's going to build up an investment firm. And that is through your nurturing and your CRM system. Okay. Because Jeremiah, let me ask you this. Back in the day, when you were just you and your phone, how many leads did you forget about? And you're like, oh, and when they go, hey, we just sold it. And you're like, oh, God, the pain.
Killed
you. So that happened to us all the time, right? And you do this because you learn. So you nurture, you find that lead, and then you put it into a system of sorts. And then you make sure that you are constantly talking to that individual. And that's where you won in your book, Finding Your Edge. That's where you talk a lot about how you built up and you did stuff that no one else wanted to do. You would fly places, drive places, and meet with these people way above and beyond. But that's the separator. That's the edge. That's the edge we have. Our edge is, how good is your system? How good is your CRM? What are you saying when you follow up? You remember that their, son just had a root canal. Right. And you wanted to follow up. Hey, how did everything go with the procedure? Oh yeah, Marty, everything was was good. Okay. You got, keeping that information is really important, because that just separates you from the competition. And guess what? There is effing competition in this game. Okay. From there, we're going to start texting. So you get the list, you got the data, you want to call it. Now that's for more of your $5, $10, $20 an hour kind of people. When you are, and that you're a $100, $200, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 an hour type of person, well, then you really can't be cold calling, and that's not the best use of your time. So what we found is through texting, in our texting systems, and whether that's launch control, whether that's whatever, right? I just started off with just my phone texting individually, right? A certain script. And the scripting's important, guys. Scripting's important. So, but then I know that this person, instead of having to call and leave a voicemail or call and not sure if I'm going to get that individual, they're responding. Hey, this is Marty. I'm just curious, if you're open to an offer, something like that, right? They're going to respond and say no, or sure, or who is this? Okay. All of those are great signs, fantastic signs, because even the no's I'm going to put in the nurture, because it's just a no today. And the other ones I'm going to continue to work. And then we're going to not only just text them, because they're going to get text from a lot of people. We're going to voicemail them. We're going to drop them a voicemail. We want to find a time. Our whole point of this is scheduling a 5 to 10 minute window in their calendar so we can talk to them and have a real conversation. All right. And guess what you're going to do when you're having that real conversation? You better be prepared. You better know the area. You better be able to bring something to the table. Hey, I know you're in Saratoga Springs. Love Saratoga. Saw Dave Matthews there 100 times. He was amazing. Yeah, we like Dave. Yeah, we like Saratoga. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm really close to that area. You guys got to be able to connect. What can you connect? You see on their website that they're Patriot, right? They're Patriot Holdings, like Jeremiah. Oh, okay. Yep. Hey, how about Tom Brady? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now you're building up some real rapport. That's how you separate. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're focusing on right now for our lead generation, is how do we become difference makers? How do we separate ourselves? And how do we do the stuff no one wants to do? And that's actually picking up the phone. A lot of people won't pick up the phone and call people any longer, right? And so, they'll send the postcards and they'll do all that stuff. But I'm going to take full advantage of the people that send postcards. I think postcards are great. but I'm going to take full advantage. I go, are you the one that we're sending postcards? I go, I probably did. Maybe that was something that we did. Maybe that's something you got, but I want to call you personally and talk to you because I'm actually the owner of the company. So I wanted to talk to you and really just tell you how interested I am to create a win-win relationship with you, Jeremiah. That's what I want to do here. So you be upfront with them, let them know what you want to do. You strategize on how that's going to happen. And I think, we'll be able to hit the ground running. And so far we've had some good success with gathering some leads.
Yeah. Well done, Marty. Yeah. I think that is a great formula. It's a perfect formula. And we got to, anyone listening to this, if anyone's listening, this is the business that we're in, right? This is about building a real estate portfolio. So the formula of wealth, the tried and tested formula is you build a business and you invest in real estate. And our business just so happens to be real estate and deal flow through real estate. And this is the nuts and bolts. So, maybe people don't have the time to be hammering out, every cold call or creating these systems. But I would have to say, if you can't do this, then don't expect to have an edge in the market or find a deal that's going to be superior to what's out there that's actually listed or it's available, because that you're an investor. You're going to put that investor hat on. An investor doesn't have the time and capabilities to have the nuts and bolts of digging into the weeds, scraping the data from Google, scraping the data from CoStar and all the different sources. This is what we spend all our time on, and we sacrifice any opportunities to do other things. We don't have the time to build a tech company or, be an attorney or doctor or whatever that is. This is the business. But I think if, starting this year out right, our investors are looking at, okay, master your craft, master your skill. And what you're doing here, if anyone's in it and wanting to be a true hardcore, real estate syndicator, GP, this is really what you need to do. It's not about, raising some money in a fund and then going out and then just clicking some buttons and buying some, index stocks or going and buying a building on LoopNet or, that's a different game. That's a whole different, or, you're a fund of funds and you're just investing in someone else's fund. That's great, whatever. But this is the real deal shit that gives you the ability to buy good deals. So, the way that you bring your energy to the table, that's what I did, it's just 20 years now, talking to people, boots on the ground, getting to know the nuances of every market, every asset, every person, their situation, their family, their age. Now, that's the juice. Now, I'm in San Diego right now, and I went out last night, a lot of really wealthy people. One of them's a family that has 200 shopping centers in San Diego, and just a beast of a family in terms of real estate wealth. And it's crazy because, there's nothing special to it. It's not like there's some, unique formula that the ultra wealthy people have. It's just they stuck to something that has a lot of value. They stuck with a business plan that is tried and tested over decades, generations. And then you just continue to execute. And over time, the snowball effect is a monster, results. So, when you think about right now, just as an investor, you put that investor hat on. If you have 10 million bucks in treasuries right now, and they're paying 4 to 4.5%, I mean, my secure savings in banks in Boston are paying 4.5% right now. That's on 10 million bucks. That's 450 grand a year for zero risk.
Right.
I mean,
right.
So you can see that that covers, if you can't live on 450 grand a year. I mean, yeah, you got to pay tax on it, but still, I mean, that's just the advantage of how the wealthy get wealthier. Right there, right? You own assets, you create wealth. And really the goal is, now going to all these different conferences through Tiger and all these and other trade groups, where people with assets in the $100 million range, the goal is not to fuck it up at that stage.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, You really are all set. So what we're doing right now, is a little hard, but I think if someone's actually watching us right now, we're playing the game at the highest level, because the rewards, the payoff, the actual, the monopoly, win, the outcome, when we got all the little, greenhouses in the Red Hotel, this stuff, actually has value for decades and generations, right?
No doubt.
So it's not going to happen overnight. And whatever. We have our little niche right now because we can have our podcast, and a lot of people everyone has a niche there when you go on different YouTube channels, and it's a lot of work hard, motivation, the Gary V's, the Tony Robbins, the 4-hour work week, and all the good stuff. But the edge of the niche that we have is boots on the ground, talking to owners and grinding it out into data, making the contacts through all the text messaging tools that you said, Launch Control and the Profit 911 with all the mailers, and we do the automated voicemails, and we just grind it out one day at a time. And it seems, monotonous, but this is it. This is what creates that ability to, to go to these conferences and you got $100 million or whatever it is in the next 10 years that we have, or 20 years. It starts with this little shit that we do. It's like Jeff Bezos, packing up books 25 years ago, out of his closet in Seattle. It seems just silly, but it actually, we're playing the right game. You're doing the right things that are going to create so much wealth, man.
Well, you see other people have done it and they've had success, right? It's like, this is a part for us. This is our edge. That's really what it comes down to, is we don't have a problem doing it. We enjoy doing it. And like you said earlier, yeah, we don't have the luxury to buy on the market currently, right?
No.
We don't have that luxury to buy on the market currently. And it blows my mind that there's organizations who don't have an off-market strategy, because I'm not going to wait around for something to hit the market. I don't want to, right? And so that's not my forte. And at the same time, you need to create your own market with whatever that is, with whatever you're doing, whether that's you're doing it through outreach, or you're doing it because they look at you as a consultant, through, whatever it is that you're doing. You want to have somehow deal flow. We got to have deal flow. That's how our business, and I know Jeremiah, that's how your business, it survives through the deal flow. It survives through those things. So yeah, that's really a critical part for our business, is just how do we differentiate ourselves and how do we continue getting, legitimate deal flow?
Yeah, that is it, man. So, what I've been doing, starting the year out, portfolio management, obviously business management in the sense of strategy and how we're going to allocate our resources. I think everyone just needs to think of themselves, though, as everyone's a business. The Jay-Z line, I'm a businessman. Like, yes. Every single person. There is no 401k in terms of, like where you're going to have this pension, right? Where some company takes care of you, they're loyal to you, you're all set, your family's all set. That's all gone, right? Everybody's a mercenary. Yep. You're out there, right? You got to take care of yourself and your family, because the market is the market, and it doesn't care who you are or what your problems are. You got to go out and fight for yourself and add value to the marketplace. And now there's so much information trading back and forth that it's a blessing and a curse, where, you can't sit on your laurels. You can't sit on that tenure that you've had in some industry or some company where you feel like you're entitled to get some payout over a long period of time. The market will just replace you for someone overseas or some young kid that are willing to do it for half the money. We all know this, right? This is globalization 101, 30 years ago in the Clinton administration. This is where it all began. And real wages haven't really gone up, but new industries are popping up, new jobs, AI, like everything. Everything's changing so quickly. So you do have the ability, though, to go out there and create things that never were possible. The flow and the velocity of money in business and in your skills and mastering your craft, where you can consult or communicate, or, you can create leads or create products, or even, wedge yourself in positions where you can be a key leader, and as an attorney or as a sales generator, anything. You can create so much wealth, but the market's moving so fast. So we have to learn, number one, what is that skill? What is that thing that we're going to add to the market? And is it still in value? Like, am I doing something like right now? Copywriters are in trouble because, with Chat GPT and OpenAI, that shit is changing the game, right? So you better adapt with that technology or you're done. Right. So, number one, evaluating what are you offering to the marketplace? And that's the first thing I talked about in my book is, knowing the value that you want to produce and playing to your strengths. You have the self-awareness so that you can actually add that value. And you're killing it with, having the data, organizing it, having a system, and then creating connection with a lot of people that own assets that you and I want. Go ahead, Marty.
No, that's it. I mean, I was just going to say, when you were talking about the connections, is just it may be 5-6 touches before you make that connection. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I mean, just give us an example of like a deal that you can remember that it may have been maybe a couple phone calls, a meeting. It might have been another meeting. You might have had a meet with the wife. You might have had a meet then with the kids. I mean, this is common.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, that is the basics right now, because what you're up against is a million different people, not only trying to call them and buy these assets, but you're also against, they have so many conflicting messages or just things pulling away from their attention anyway. Everyone now has some update on their phone every other second. They're busy. Everyone's busy, so you're just trying to create that mental real estate that when they think of they're selling their property, you're just that guy that needs to be there. And we're just trying to master marketing and communication. And that goes across for anyone in business right now. So, for us, it's, that is what we're going to master in this skill. But at the end of the day, what we have to do is stay focused on how do we get the highest return of value on our time and money. And that's why that, we can't go to the shiny object syndrome and keep trying every other real estate, asset class or every other investment type class or jumping around in different businesses. Yeah, it doesn't work. It's time to just channel that focus. Because we're in storage and mobile home parks, and that's just, it's a great niche because the opportunity is that it's not taken over by large companies yet. There's a lot of meat on the bone because there's a lot of mom and pops that own these assets that don't want to reinvest in the assets in terms of, doubling down and improving them and getting them up to the caliber that they need to be high quality, or they don't want to really learn the business in terms of management and the technology to help upgrade everything. So, that's why, there's this opportunity on the horizon where, for the next decade, before these things are bought up by guys like you and me, or before the big companies, the big REITs come in, or private equity firms like Blackstone or whoever come in and sweep them all up and buy them and create this the total efficiency, where there's not a lot of inefficiency in these assets, not a lot of value to add. There's this window to take them down. It's not easy. Right? It's not like it's not a technology product where we can just scale it and go out and sell a million units based on our upfront, our work that we did. But I think they're solid assets, and it's very, we don't have that window of opportunity to buy shopping centers in San Diego, like the family that I met last night. Like that's gone. That was 10, 20, 30 years ago. And that's a different ball game that you need to play.
For more information on commercial real estate investing, go to patriotholdings.com. Thanks for listening to Finding Your Edge.